insurance, stall fees, prizes, everything that we paid for that weekend, we put into a spreadsheet, and then we had the system to pull out everything we sold at the convention, and all the events we ran, and put that into like the opposite side of the spreadsheet to fully work out whether that event was a success or not.
That's kind of, it means it's like yippee is what it kind of means. And I thought Wunderbar was like yippee. So as a kid, I just say Wunderbar a lot. Mum was like, "Where'd you get that from?" And I was like, "Mum, I'm learning."
Video games, Mom.
Yeah.
But I'm still repping the merch. If you're watching it, hi everyone. Welcome back to From the Vault. It's been a while. But yeah, I'm repping the merch. If you're watching this, there's probably not too long left, or you may probably lost the pre-order window by now if you didn't come in when this was immediately published. But yeah, Vault Games merch live on the web store, vaultgames.com.au.
We've done it. We have merchandise.
We've done it. We have actual merch, shirts, keep cup, tote bag, a hoodie.
Hoodie's cool.
Sorry if you're in Europe and watching this for some reason. It's summer over there now. But anyway.
For some reason.
We're back. Yeah, for some reason.
For some reason.
No one knows.
No one knows.
No one knows why. We're back. We're finally back. It's been a while.
It has been. I feel like we say that a lot.
Yeah, but it was sickness, event, sickness, event, sickness.
Yeah. It's been tough. It's been so tough.
So much.
But that's what we're here to talk about, actually.
That's what we're here to talk about. Yeah, we went to one of the events.
Sickness.
Not sickness. An event. We went to TableTopCon down on the Gold Coast.
We did. It was awesome.
It was really good. It was really good. So we're going to have a chat about it today. We're also going to talk about like what stores, what kind of thinking goes into doing cons as a store, like being a stall holder there. And what you should probably, if you are a stall holder or anyone that would just go to a con as a stall holder, like not necessarily a board game store, but if you do Artist Alley or whatever, like some of the thought processes that go behind going to a con and what you should probably think about when you do that. But yeah, but before we do, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, get the bell on to get notified every time a new video goes live here, because you never know when they're going to come.
You never know.
Wink.
You never know.
As always, I'm joined by Trent, obviously.
Hello.
And Teddy's behind the camera over there on the computer.
I'm working the computer.
But yeah, we're going to talk about TableTopCon. All right, so for those that don't know,
those uninitiated,
TableTopCon is a board game convention down on the Gold Coast. Happens at the end of May every year. I think this was like their 5th year off the top of my head running. And the first year that they moved to a new venue that had lots of space.
Huge building.
I actually went down last year to do just Star Wars Unlimited, just to kind of dip my toes in, see what the convention's about. Not too risky. And, you know, really enjoyed it and had a bit of a spark to it. So when they said they were moving somewhere, I was like, cool, we'll do a whole bunch of stuff. So what is it we did down there? We did Rift Bounds.
Yeah, we ran the 1.5K.
Yeah, we ran a 1.5K.
We did some winter boxes for Riftbound as well.
Yep. Lorcana.
Tons of Lorcana as well, the winter boxes for Lorcana. We did some learn to plays for Star Wars Limited, Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, and Riftbound.
Yep.
It's quite good. We ran the Spearhead tournament on the Sunday. The Saturday was the Combat Patrol tournament. So we did like small scale 40K in Age of Sigmar. You know, people are traveling to this location and, you know, we have a lot of stuff we're traveling with too. So keep it nice and small. Then we did learn to plays for both those games as well as part of that.
Which is really annoying because the new edition is now available for pre-order for Warhammer.
For
and
40K.
we don't know, for 40K, and we don't know what's happening with Combat Patrol yet.
No idea. No idea. Classic Games Workshop though.
Classic.
I'm sure it'll just be like it always is the Combat Patrol. Like there's a world where we see like, I won't get into too much, but there's a world where we see like the Spearhead treatment of Combat Patrol where it's like they really put their, you know, their whole body into it and they really like, hey, let's get those unique missions, unique boards, box sets like, you know, Fire and Jade and Bone and Ash and
Sand and Bone and City of Ash.
Yeah,
City of Ash is the new one.
Is that its own box, City of Ash?
It's not a standalone box yet for the terrain and the maps and the cards, but the City of Ash box set is like a Spearhead starter set.
Yeah, okay, but it doesn't have its own box set yet. No, I was confused there. I was like, yeah, there's Sand and Bone and Fire and Jade is ones that I know.
Yeah.
That's what we ran for the Spearhead events. And yes, that was quite good. But yeah, sorry. I was going to say, it could be that Combat Patrol does the whole spearhead thing, but for the time being, I very much doubt it. Knowing 40k, it'll probably just be like, here's the basic rules, play from the box.
It's because they set it up, though. They set it up in the new current edition, the one that's ending soon. They kind of set it up to be there's going to be multiple mission packs for Combat Patrol, and then they just never did it.
They never did it. But I think it's just also because their market data just shows people don't like it. And I think
which is very unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate because like they don't like it because you won't do it. Duh. But I think Age of Sigmar, the team gets a lot more leeway with like trying to go outside the box. I think Age of Sigmar is and always will be like not the super mega powerhouse beast the 40k is. So the company's just like, hey, have fun with it, try something new. And then Spearhead comes out and it's like, does great. They're like, awesome. So maybe that translates to 40k, maybe not. But the point is moral of the story is that, yes, the learn to play for 40k was a bit unfortunate. But I think, I did some learn to play as well. I was there as well. I wasn't, we had Beyond for the learn to play for that, and they were helping run some events, one of our staff members here. And then when they weren't available, I did some. And I also prefaced it with that when I was talking to customers all the time.
Same when I did learn to play. And then we also had like a stall down there running just general sales for product that we took down. So, yeah, we did a lot. Did a lot down there.
A lot.
Pretty well staffed, I think. And everything went smoothly, apart from obviously the numbers, which we'll get to. But what was the con like for you? What did you walk around the con and get a chance to see some stuff?
Yeah. I went for a meander around. It was interesting. I think the first thing I'll try and like sandwich this. I think the first step was like a lot of different stuff going on. A lot of independent games, which I love to see. I really like seeing independent games. There's a rhetoric that goes around a lot at the moment talking about those kind of, like if you're at home, chuck in the comments if you've had this interaction or if you think about this yourself. Like you go to like a convention and there's that always at least one of those stalls, usually 3 or 4 of those stalls, where it's like the same first page of Cult 3D, like rainbow dragon miniatures that like are just basically like little skeletons that you could just, they're like, oh, toys for kids, and they sell them for like $10 to $15 each, and they printed them for like $3 and the file was free. And it's usually like a couple, maybe like a young guy or something, just trying to make like a quick buck.
Yeah, like 3D print slop and
3D print slop,
resin dice.
Exactly, that kind of stuff. And it just kind of go like, it just kind of puts a sour taste in mouth. Well, there wasn't really none of that. Like I didn't see any of that, which is quite good.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not the fault of TableTopCon particularly. I'm not sure if they put in any steps to reduce that, but everywhere I went, there was, when it comes to like AI stuff, it's a whole conversation, but there was some AI stuff which I wasn't super impressed by. But outside of that, like there was none of that, which is good. A lot of independent developers, which was really awesome. But there was also big stuff. Like there was a big learn to play for the StarCraft, which was really cool that a StarCraft Futures game was there. So I went there and I had a chat with the guys who were running that, and I picked up the Zeratul Mini, the promo one, which was really exciting. Oh, I know, it's so cool. It's really cool.
Yeah,
really
the local game store guys, which is also LP, where they're doing Army Painter, like learn to paint stuff, as well as StarCraft.
They were. So that was great fun. And the Army Painter booth was awesome. And the Brisbane Painters Guild had some representation there too as part of that. They had some members of their guild like hanging out and doing some painting, which is great. And then there was also like a chess club, which was really funny. There was like a big chess club, which was really cool because you just don't see any representation for chess. They had a giant chessboard, which Piper actually played a game on, and Piper almost won. And it was like really good time. And I think, the Kill Team event. There was a big Kill Team event there with like 24 people that went really well, and everyone had a freaking awesome time. And the energy,
it's like the usual guys that come to Clayfield on Monday nights.
And even some of the guys coming on Thursdays. So that energy was awesome, and that it was kind of electricity of that was like blending over because we were like set up right next to them for the learn to play and for the Spearhead and Combat Patrol because it was like a miniatures area. A lot of that electricity and energy was like kind of glowing into us, and a lot of people who were getting involved with that tournament found themselves eyeing off the Kill Team stuff. And there was some other interesting games going on. There was a big MESBG, which is like Middle Earth strategy battle game. Lord of the Rings, for those at home. That was having a big event nearby. And then there was like Moonstone being shown off by the Malifaux guys. And that was really exciting because if you haven't seen Moonstone online, it's a beautiful game. Jamie, pull that one up. Thanks, Teddy. Absolutely phenomenal. Just awesome game. It's a mixture of like a card game and a ball skirmish miniatures game, but it's very like Margaret Thatcher style. If you like Laura and Eclipse, if you're like a Magic player, it's the same kind of vibe.
Margaret Thatcher?
That's not what I meant.
No.
Not Margaret Thatcher.
Beatrix Potter?
No. It's Margaret Thatcher? That's crazy.
That's insane.
Crazy. Why did I say Margaret Thatcher?
It's a skirmish game that like fires a lot of nationalized steelworkers.
No. It's like very storybook. There's someone I'm thinking of.
Beatrix Potter?
No, not Beatrix Potter. Who's that? From Harry Potter?
No.
From
Who's
the
Potter
Peter
did
Rabbit.
Peter the Bunny. Peter the Rabbit.
Not them.
Okay.
I'm looking at
Grim
these
Fairy
minis
Tales?
and I almost know what you mean, but it's like
There's a term for it. Oh, this is so embarrassing. There's a name.
It's a cottagecore skirmish
There's a
game.
cottagecore skirmish game, but there's a name for this.
it's a specific art style.
It's this art style, but it's like, it's Margaret something or like, it'll come back. I'll come back to this.
All we know is it's not Margaret Thatcher.
It's definitely not Margaret. It's not Gazgul Thraka. All right. It's not Gazgul Thraka. All right.
Margaret Thatcher and Gazgul Thraka together.
Yeah. For those at home, it's not Margaret Thatcher. Jesus Christ. But no. My God. But anyway, it's beautiful. Look, it's a great game. It'll be up on the screen. It's awesome.
Tumbledown Street.
Yeah. It's cool. It's really cool.
Brunhilde
That showed
the
off.
Giant.
Sorry.
Brunhilde the Giant.
Yeah, there's some great stuff in there. There's a beautiful like river troll mini.
Noel the Troll. Yeah, look at them mushrooms. That's great.
Yeah, it's a great little game. So they're showing off that and that game is like very, very small, especially in Australia. Like you never see it. So I went over and had a chat with those guys, and I didn't get a chance to have a game myself, but it was good. That's like some of the good, some of the bad. The venue was way too big, ironically enough.
Yeah.
In the
big?
sense that it was just
They could have fit so much more.
They could have fit so much more. It wasn't too big because the space was the problem. It was what they fit into the space. There was so much negative space in the venue. The venue felt very empty. Even when there were lots of people in the venue, it still felt very empty. And I think like you don't want a Supernova Brisbane problem where it's so crowded and so dense.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like
Then
you feel
have
like you're
2 meters of walking space.
yeah, and you
that's
feel
it.
like you're
Yeah.
bumping up against sweats and that kind of stuff. It's like horrible and it's like it's damp and you don't want that. And I understand, but it just didn't hit the right register for me. It always felt like it was empty, and that was a big problem. It really is. It's a reflection of like how many, and I think maybe those. When you change venues and stuff, and you're only on your 5th year, not a lot of confidence maybe in the brand, and that's why not a lot of people got involved with it. But I imagine there must have been.
I think there was more vendors this year than there was last year. Last year they booked out the entire like community center that they had running. So they had like 3 levels and different like areas, and what they wanted to do was try and unify that into one space.
Yeah,
because we were running Star Wars Universe in a side conference room. Star Wars Unlimited in a side conference room. The RPGs were upstairs. The minis skirmish games were also upstairs in a different room. And then they had the main hall. So there's a lot of like moving and meandering around the convention that you didn't really get to like, I guess, cross-pollinate across the convention. So obviously moving to a bigger venue allows them to do that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree that it was like a lot of space. I personally think that's more because of it's their first year in the venue.
Yeah.
Like this was the first year that they've moved to this much larger venue. So they have a lot more capacity. I definitely think next year we're going to see a lot more vendors and a lot more, I think a lot more events happening.
Yep.
Which is something that we'll work with them on. But yeah, I think it's I think there's potential.
And I think the potential also kind of doubles down on I think like the floor plan would be a lot better when they get more vendors, that kind of stuff. I think like maybe part of the problem was also like the floor plan just wasn't very well organized for what they were trying to do. Like I felt that there was like a sitting area, there was like a free play area, but it was hidden behind like a gigantic screen.
It was hidden behind all the LP
Correct.
demo screens.
But there's just I just feel like there's just no need for that. I feel like it's very easy to just swap those 2 locations around. And I think something that I can say quite confidently in hindsight, after seeing what that looks like as a consumer and going, is how I felt about the situation. I don't blame them for not doing it that way. Like if I had seen that as an empty empty space, maybe I would have gone, this looks great. I think this is fine. But when I saw it in practice, I went, oh, it just feels like you're so isolated. Which is ironic because the whole point of combining things that you don't feel isolated. I might be wrong, but I also saw signage for some RPGs upstairs.
Yes, there was RPGs upstairs.
There was some RPGs upstairs. So they still had some segregation as well. But like...
I think that's just like an element of the fact that RPGs are kind of like hard to deal in a loud environment. And,
for sure.
You know, an expectation of this venue might be there's going to be a lot more people, so they need to like make sure that the RPGs. I think next year they should probably consider. There's one topic I've got on here is like what can be improved for the con for next year. I think moving the RPGs down into the main free play space like they do at PAX, and then putting the panels up in the conference room.
Yeah.
Rather than having them on a stage down the side as like the only PA in the venue. I think that would probably go a little bit better. I think separation from the main venue for panels is perfectly okay because people aren't going to wander along to panels. A lot of people like look at a panel schedule and choose what they want to go to and figure out what they want to go to from there. So
I think so too.
I think treating the panels as not necessarily like marketing elements, but as like genuine educational elements for people would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Which will then push people into the panels and allow the RPGs to run in the main play space. Because, Blood in the Clock Tower ran in the main play space, and that's kind of a semi-RPG.
But I want to add as well, like, I don't know, again, like maybe my whole problem isn't necessarily like the space was too big. Maybe I think the problem is just like the floor plan was weird because even where
it was underutilized.
Where Blood the Clock Tower was felt so random.
Yeah.
A lot of the places just felt like we have this area that we haven't currently... Like, okay, it kind of felt like to me, right? They went, where do we put all the stalls? In the very center. Okay, where do we put the play space? Well, we don't want to put it on this side because that's where the entryway is. Let's put it on the other side. And then they went, what about the next thing? What about the next thing? What about the next thing? It felt like it was a step-by-step breakdown of a placement, not like let's do all these things at once. Like surely yes, you have to start somewhere and then build off that. But at the same time, it's like I felt like maybe that floor plan just needed a lot more work. But that's a tiny thing as well. And like you said as well,
that's a big thing too. Like these criticisms are not like major criticisms.
Not at all.
It's not convention breaking.
No.
I have every intention to go back next year.
Absolutely. I think it was really good. I think it was really fun. I really enjoyed
great.
the whole thing. Yeah. I think the service was pretty good as well as far as the actual venue offering like the cafe and that kind of stuff. And like the food was okay. Like they had the canteen as well, which was quite nice. They had multiple options for getting yourself a bite to eat, that kind of stuff.
Toilets were well looked after.
They were pretty good. There was some interesting situations like red tape around like certain areas they should have blocked off, I think, earlier than they did, or not block off. Like both those things are fine. But I guess they realized later that they were like, oh, we don't want people like sneaking into the venue, so block these areas off. And then people were like, well, how do I access the toilet if I can't go? Oh, I have to go. That kind of stuff. So there was some confusion there, like people coming up to me. Another thing is I think maybe they did have some yellow shirts where they were like TableTopCon staff, but I think it wasn't also obvious who was TableTopCon staff and who was just at the venue as like a what's the word? Like a
exhibitor?
Exhibitor, thank you. As an exhibitor. Because you and I both, we had lots of people come to us and be like, hey, you work at TabletopCon. What about X and Y? And I'd go, oh, sorry, man, I don't work here. I'm just here. I mean, I'm working, but I don't work here. I'm just with Vault
We're
Games.
just too confident.
If
you walk around with confidence in a high-vis vest, people ask you questions.
Well, that's true. We weren't in high-vis vests when they came up to us. To be fair, I think if I was in a high-vis vest, my point's very
I think on day one, I was still wearing a high-vis vest, and some of the exhibitors came up and started asking me questions like, brother.
Yeah. Well, you're in a high-vis vest. That's not their fault. When you're in a high-vis vest, you look like you're the guy who can answer questions. But moral of the story is, I think, but again, this is like, this is a tiny nitpick, truly. And it's not much you can do, especially, again, first year at the venue.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I liked it a lot. I think I was actually personally, in the early years of TabletopCon, I was very unimpressed. I was vocally very unimpressed. The first TabletopCon I went to, my mate Connor just one day was like, hey, do you want to go to like at TabletopCon? It's like kind of new. They're just popping off. I was like, let's go check it out. And we genuinely had like a miserable time.
It was like year 2 or 3.
It was year 2, I think it was. Yeah. Miserable time. It was the floor plan was terrible. We had no idea where to go, what to do. We ended up doing very little. And then they had this, where they had the panel was also where they had the free play. So there was like some D&D thing happening. And I was like, oh, we can just sit down and watch the D&D thing while like, eat our food. Because also people eating their food. That's like whatever. But while we had our food, there was like a group behind us playing like a Jenga style game. That was like banging
so
on
loud,
the ground
yeah.
and they're cheering and shit. And I can't tell somebody who's enjoying their time at a convention to go, hey, shut up, I'm trying to listen to D&D. Like we couldn't listen to it at all. And I could watch people around me get like more and more frustrated. More and more people around me were just like, so I think, again, maybe...
I will hand it to TabletopCon. If that was your experience at year 2, that definitely was not the experience I had in year 4 and 5.
Yeah, exactly. It can only get better.
They're definitely learning every year and making things better. And,
for sure.
If it happens, it happens. As you know, when you're doing a con and something goes wrong, it's just like, oh, we'll get it right next time.
Because I think you're just doing so many things.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
The thing. Like, I don't think there's a possibility where nothing slips through the cracks and everything goes perfect. It's a convention. Like, you could talk about the biggest conventions in Australia for this kind of stuff. You talk about, PAX, you talk about Supernova, you talk about Comic-Con, these kind of things that, this one, obviously, with TabletopCon, you've got events where it's like people are playing Kill Team and Warhammer, that kind of stuff, which don't happen at these other Comic-Con conventions, these anime conventions. But they all have their swathe of problems. Like, they all have issues all the time. You never go to a single one and you go, everything was perfect. Like, but again, so they're just a tiny nitpick. And again, it was just a great convention. I didn't enjoy all the time I spent meandering around. And like I said, I think genuinely, if I had to be like, where would I want this convention to be? I would want another 60% bonus like stalls, like 60% more to shop. I felt like if I was traveling to the location, because also where it was in the Gold Coast was not, it wasn't like Service Paradise or something.
No.
It wasn't like in the city. It was like
It was Nerang.
Nerang.
It was Nerang Carrara.
Carrara. I was like, what was I thinking of? Yeah, Carrara. It was like Nerang Carrara way. It was like
It was
pretty
on
out,
Nerang Broadbeach Road. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a bit out of the way. You're traveling to get there no matter how you look at this. And you might be traveling from somewhere like Brisbane. You might be traveling from, a distance away like we were in a truck, which is a bit different, but you might be traveling a distance and then you travel all this way. And if you're not in an event, if you're not going for the Riftbound 1.5, if you're not going there for Kill Team, you're probably there for like an hour.
Yeah.
I had the same feel when I went to Collect Fest. Collect Fest was tiny. And I was like, I just wanted to go and do some actual trading and such with people I knew and that kind of stuff. So I spent a lot of time there. But I had friends who went there for like an hour. And I was like, okay. That's kind of what I feel. So I think it might be nice to... And there's other layers. When I say that, I should also add some of those stalls were doing demos of their games. Mm-hmm. And if you sit down and do a demo of their game, well, that's an extra half an hour easily. So you're there for a lot longer. So maybe if I'm the kind of person who wants to just walk around and window shop and buy a few things, maybe this is not the convention for me. That's not what it's for. So there's like layers. Like I'm not trying to say this is objective and this is how they have to fix these things. I'm just saying from my perspective, what I would have liked, 60% more stalls. And I think if I had like that much more to engage with, I could have then engaged with those better. And maybe if I wasn't working at Vault Games at the time of the entire convention, I would have stopped and played some of those test games.
Yeah.
Like Robot Wars was a game that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. Say what you will about Robot Wars. It looks so sick. It looks so cool.
I finally picked up Fjord Serpents. I've seen those guys at like BrizCon and I saw them at TableTopCon last year, and I think I've seen them at PAX as well. I just keep seeing them, and I was like, "Yeah, all right."
It looks cool.
I like a good naval game.
Naval games are really cool. For context, why Dylan's giving me this like shit right now is because I see Dylan walk off towards Robot Wars, and I'm like, "Yo, he's good." And I was talking about Robot Wars. I was showing like the dinosaur robot. I was like, "Check this out," and he comes back with fucking what's it called again? Fjord Serpents.
Fjord Serpents.
Sorry. And I'm like,
Vikings at War. Yeah.
And like. I didn't know what this was because I was so disappointed that it wasn't Robot Wars. I was like, what the fuck is this?
What's this bullshit?
I was like, what's this bullshit? And Dylan was like, it's a really cool game called Fjord Serpents. It's like, so? You walked straight past Robot Wars and you didn't...
I think the problem is that you proceeded to give me shit for the next 30 minutes just going, this guy walked past... Like, you just said it to anyone. Like, this guy just walked past Bod Wars and came back with a Viking game.
Viking. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Naval
Viking
combat.
Game. Yeah,
wow.
It's not Bot Wars, Dylan.
Literally Bot Wars. Oh, dude, the sculpt
It's not off-brand Transformers.
That's so sick. We don't have Transformers, Dylan. You know what I mean? It's like there's like a Transformers miniatures game.
Hey, Bot Wars guys, if you're watching, I think Trent wants to be an ambassador for it.
Yeah, I do. I mean, look, I've said all of that. I didn't buy it either. So whatever. Like, who am I?
You didn't commit.
I didn't commit. I mean, again, like I said, I was working for the whole thing, so I didn't get a chance to actually play the game. But you know what? Next time, I'll take the time. Next time, I'll stop in. I'll talk to the guys. Like, you know what? Because every time I see them, I'll stop by their stall. I'll be like, I do it every time. Like, can I take photos of your cabinet? I think he recognized me this time. Because I said to him this, I was like, can I take his photos of the cabinet? And he kind of went,
again?
Yeah. He was like, yeah. Kind of like I'd already asked him. He kind of gave this kind of, yeah. I was like, at first I was annoyed because I was like, okay, not a weird question. But maybe from his perspective it was because he knew I'd taken photos of his stuff before. Well, I think they're at BrizCon as well, Robot Wars, I think. I'm pretty certain they were.
They'll show up at every con.
Yeah. So I should stop by.
Yeah, I think, should see if they're at PlayCon.
Hopefully so.
Yeah.
I'll stop. If they're at PlayCon, I'm not there for work.
Yeah, neither am I. We're heading down to PlayCon for fun.
PlayCon for fun. So maybe, you know what? If they're at PlayCon, lock me in. You won't see this by the time I'm at PlayCon. Probably. I mean, you might. I don't know. If you're watching.
Yeah, definitely like those. I mean, we've gone a roundabout way, but yeah, the kind of improvements to make would definitely be like just where the floor plan layout is, move the panels into their own area.
Yeah.
Like, see if you can seek out panels as well, like design, publishing, manufacturing, stores, RPG people, maybe, spring for a guest.
Get the Good Games Morley guys over. Get those guys over. They're funny. That'd be a good power.
Yeah, they're all like minor improvements.
Yeah,
because-
and even then, like maybe not objectively true. Like I think those are minor improvements. We agree they're minor improvements, but maybe there's just like a situation where it's like maybe they've already, and it's also TableTopCon easily could already have that in the works.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. They're not idiots. They definitely walked away with learnings from that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Anthony told me on like Sunday, I was like, yeah, there's definitely some stuff they're going to go away with. So like, yeah, I think the future is very bright for this convention.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I think,
questions asked.
Like I was even talking to some of the guys from another group that were down there, and they were like, "Oh, this con isn't really like. I think we're losing a lot of money on this con," and it's just like, well, like you're not really doing much. But also, there's like this is their first year in this venue. They've there's a lot of potential here. Like shit, I wouldn't be here at all, and like you've known me for a while. I'm not a big fan of conventions for the store.
I was gonna say, like, if your massive complaint is that I'm not gonna make a lot of money at conventions, yeah, you probably shouldn't be doing conventions.
Yeah,
I don't think you make a lot of money at conventions.
You can, but
I think it depends how you define
it's
a lot of
definitely
money.
a roll of dice.
Yeah, and I think it depends on how you define a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
I think it can go like positive. You can go in the green. It could be worth your time and energy. I do not think you're making a lot of money at conventions.
Yeah.
It obviously depends on what you're selling as well. There's layers, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. Especially like, I don't know if we'll get into the brass tacks of how it went for us as well, but regardless, like,
I definitely walked away with some lessons.
yeah, we learned it. And that's what I was going to get into. I like to translate into next because we've talked about lessons from them. I'd like to say one last thing actually about the lessons from them that we haven't really talked about was I think, speaking of our Riftbound 1.5 event, which we'll get into, I'm not going to get into it now, we'll get into it in a second. But I think there is another lesson to be learned as far as onboarding and engagement and marketing. I think there's another lesson to be had there, but those are a bit more comprehensive. So let's step away for a second from what they can learn. I think that's a good segue now. What did we learn?
Well, what we learned definitely was I think we need to find a way to communicate about events a bit better, whether that means like working in concert with the convention organizers to provide landing pages around the events rather than just kind of like doing Facebook stuff and hoping that their website can handle it. Like we did what we could. And we dropped some dosh on the Facebook advertising, but Facebook, social media is kind of a hard world to live in now, from a business perspective. So it's kind of hard on that front. So if we found a way to get like a landing page that we have an easy way to edit, which most systems now on websites, you can just do that. Like you can just get a user account and then give them access to certain pages. So I think that would go a very long way towards increasing the events, because the reality for us was the Riftbound 1.5K, we mapped it out for a maximum of 80 people. We committed to the price structure because we knew that like that could bring people in. The event with pricing was break even probably around 48-ish. And then, the rest was like minor profit from there, because obviously pricing, we still pay out more pricing as people go on.
Of course.
So we lost a good chunk of money on that tournament.
Well, you said break even on 48 and we had 18.
We had 17.
17.
So
Were there more people here for the skirmish or for the Nexus night than were there?
yeah, probably.
Surely.
Yeah.
Surely. But like, I think I touched on this earlier. I think there was a problem where it's like, I think many of the people at the Nexus night didn't even know we had.
No, they had no
1.5K
idea.
happening.
Which is
No.
crazy because we had like announcements and
All the
we were
time.
promoting in our own Discord server quite a lot.
Correct.
So
And it's crazy that even in our own community, it was getting missed. Like, I can't imagine how many other communities would have been missed in.
yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a world there where it's kind of like, obviously we need like a bit more of an onboarding world for the like a landing page marketing world for the events, which would help greatly. Like even, I think the ultimate result was we did lose money on the event, but we didn't lose a lot.
And I feel
I mean, on the convention overall.
yes, and I feel like what we gained was worth the value that we lost.
Yeah, absolutely. The lessons we learned were definitely better. I really messed up on the
The shelving.
on the shelving. Yeah. So
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, definitely a problem.
One little problem we had was we had to bump in on Saturday morning. We couldn't bump in on Friday like for most conventions do. So the plan was we'll hire a truck. We will buy some shelves from Bunnings, throw some wheels on the bottom, and then just load them, put them up on the truck, pack them, wrap them, load them on the truck, drive down, and then on Saturday morning, unload them, take the pallet wrap off. They're ready to go, right? Great idea. The uprights I got were too big for the truck, too tall for the truck. So I had to disassemble the things that I spent 2 days putting together. And then Jana ran around to 3 Bunnings to try and find all the uprights we needed, while I'm in the back of the truck on the Friday afternoon undoing all the legs, all the feet, the wheels, and putting them back on. And then we did all that and loaded them up and wrapped them, and then we found that the beams we got were too wide for the tail lift. So we couldn't even lift them up onto the truck. So we had to take them all the stock off again and box it back up. So the plan was to like leave Clayfield at 6:30, mosey on down, take our time, enjoy the evening on Friday night at the accommodation with everyone. Like no one had to work or anything. It was just drive down, enjoy the comm, and then on Saturday morning we wake up, get to the convention at 6 o'clock, and like just bust out the bump in over an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It's gonna be great. No, we left Clayfield at 10:30 on Sunday night after everyone worked 4 hours. And then, so we got down to accommodation about like 11:30, quarter to 12. I think we checked in.
And you had to be up at 6 the next morning?
We had to be up at 5:30 the next morning to get to the convention.
It was awful.
It was awful.
And it's what's worse was
so that means that like even though we did the 4 hours on Friday night, then everyone's tired, and then also like our wage cost ballooned because of the lack of time between.
Yeah.
So then the Saturday was hard for us as well from a monetary perspective, and also like there was a meet and greet night and an after dark night there that we could have been part of, but at like as soon as that convention closed at 6, we're all like, we're going back to the accommodation, and then we ended up having a good dinner. But yeah, it was really hard that if things just worked properly, if things just worked right.
And also, you guys got sick in that week before, where it's like that also impacts your ability to get stuff done earlier. There's like, life gets in the way a little bit.
So the lesson on that front was all of the shelves are in a storage locker at the moment. We're going to go get new beams and rebuild them so that they're small enough to fit on the tail lift, and then we'll just be able to do that from the future. But it's a lesson that we've learned now, and that's great. We've learned the marketing lesson for events. We've kind of also learned how to run them, and the big thing is Tim has been running competitive level events for the Bandai guys in Australia for TAC. So he brought some of that knowledge with him to the convention that I got through osmosis and imparted onto me as well. So now I have a bit of an understanding of what to expect out of higher level convention events rather than just, being a competitive level store event. Like what should I have available to people, and what makes them run easier and makes them enjoy the event a bit more. So that kind of element stuff as well is a lesson that we've learned. And yeah, I think those are like some really good lessons. Also kind of learnt like how Gold Coast is screaming for a store.
Yeah, that sounds there too. Like a more generalized store, less like specifically stuff. Yeah.
Like we were the only generalized vendor in the whole convention.
Yeah.
So competitive advantage. Let's go.
Yeah, we were very busy the entire convention.
I think there was 3 vendors selling board games, and we were one of them. And then no one was really selling Magic.
No one just had Magic.
There was secondary singles guys that were selling some Lorcana and Pokemon
Riftbound.
And a little bit of Riftbound. But we had Riftbound, Lorcana, we had Star Wars Unlimited, which I don't think we sold a single thing of. Oh no, we sold some of the starter sets and the Spotlight decks for Star Wars because the Learn to Plays came over.
Yeah, we did.
We sold some of the Warhammer to some of the guys that came in for Combat Patrol and Spearhead.
That was exciting. It was funny. We sold Combat Patrol and Spearheads to guys who came in for the event, but not many from the Learn to Play though.
No.
The conversion from the Learn to Play was like very minimal, but the conversion from the actual event of those who already play the game and already have Combat Patrol.
Yeah, you know what? I need a second one now.
Get another one.
Yeah. I think that's actually what's really good about the tournament is people saw how other Combat Patrols played and were like,
and then like, I want to get involved with that. Yeah. That's what I want to be playing.
I think one of the guys versed the Sylvaneth like
the Spite Rider Lance.
Yeah, and was like, yeah. So he actually won the tournament and then came and bought it with one of his prize vouchers.
Yeah. So funny.
So it was really good. But yeah, we definitely learned some lessons down there that I think we're going to take back for future conventions. I've learned some stuff now that I'm going to go to the guys at GHMX, because GHMX last year was kind of a little bit of a feeler of what we could do as well.
Yeah.
And that was like a taste of what we ended up doing this year at TableTopCon.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and bring what we did at TableTopCon to GHMX as well this year in November. So keep an eye out for that. If you're watching, guys, reply to my email. Please. Please. But yeah, and I think the team was really great. I think we being a full service vendor, we kind of also took a bit of a full service team. That meant that like we were able to answer a lot of questions that people had as well.
Yeah.
About gaming, not about the event. Sorry, guys. Again, we were exhibitors, not employees.
Stuff. No, I think it's great. I think the team. I talked about this. I dropped in the chat as well for the actual team itself. Like the team who stayed and held down the fort did really well. The team at the event also did really, really well. B did a great job running the events, both Spearhead and Combat Patrol. It was quite funny. Like I went over for Spearhead quite a lot because B understood Combat Patrol very well, but had a very surface level understanding of Spearhead.
Yeah, it was kind of bouncing off Rob.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rob.
Shout out to Rob. Speaking of lessons that we learned, the Dominion box, Dylan, is not a Spearhead. Anyway, so shout out to Rob though. What a champion. But yeah, we sorted that one out, and they did really great, and it was awesome. I think that's another thing as well, like the community volunteers that we had getting involved.
All really great.
All really great guys doing like all the learn to plays and stuff. And
Josh, David,
Jason, everyone just did so well.
Raymond, Skylar, Alex,
Luke.
Really
all
great.
just did great work. Yeah, we really appreciate all those guys, just awesome. So, because that was always going off. I think the first day, like Saturday, felt like a lot of people got quite worried because the learn to plays were just not kicking off at all for like the first 3-ish hours. There was really nothing happening, and then we had all these people who were like here to do this, and they were kind of twiddling their thumbs, and they were sitting together and chatting together. But you kind of like you don't want to be too unequipped. Like you don't want everyone, like, especially if you feel like you're there for a reason, you're not going to just chat away and be separate to that, because then somebody might come over and want to play Magic, and they see the learn to play Magic guy is ignoring the table, and they're like, oh well, I'll just go somewhere else. So everyone had to be kind of focused, but then by that like kind of midday mark forward, just took off like crazy. Just took off, people basically lining up to learn stuff. So it was quite good. So yeah, it's great work from everyone.
It's really good. So, the final thoughts on TabletopCon. We're going to do it again next year. It's great. If you get a chance to go to it down the Gold Coast next year, go. Like,
it's great.
There's like, even if you're just interested in independent board game design and development that's happening around Southeast Queensland, really great.
Absolutely.
There's some of the mini skirmish games or minis games coming out of just people who love the hobby and want to see some things do better. Like, they're great.
Absolutely.
And then, everyone had spare stuff there. Like, even the Kill Team guys had spare Kill Teams. The Middle Earth guys, like, there was a learn to play Middle Earth table as well. Like, good community stuff. So go check it out. TableTop Con. It's the end of May, down on the Gold Coast at the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre at Carrara. I think they're planning on going back there again next year. Really good. They met their target. They wanted like 1,500 plus people, and they got just over 1,500 people through. So
it's
great.
Great. Yeah.
I guess it's happening next year.
I hope so. Yeah, because it was really awesome. And like Dylan said, it can only get better every year. It can only get bigger and better. And just awesome. Just awesome. Really enjoyed it.
So we've done 3 conventions now in the last 12 months, essentially, because we did Oz Comic Con Brisbane as purely a Magic vendor. We did GHMX last year as kind of like a mixed vendor and like running events. And then we did Tabletop Con. And one thing to note is like we've only done 3. We haven't done conventions since 2015.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been a long time. Like, we used to do conventions when we were online only store, and we did like board game zones and ran some events and drafts and stuff at conventions. But it was always a really hard justification.
Yeah, actually, I want to touch on that. Actually, you say that. I remember there's possibly a very old episode of this podcast where you talk about like not engaging with conventions actually. And there's part of this podcast we kind of talked about like very anti-convention, not as like an idea and not as like a thing, but as a store, us engaging with conventions, we were very against, because we were like, the dollar value just doesn't add up. The transition to earned media, like the kind of marketing that comes from it, is just not tangible. Like it's real. Sure, we get people who come in who see us from there, and vice versa. People will buy from us because they know us from Vault Games. But it's not something that we can create data from. There's no data set we can work with. So we just don't know. We just kind of feel it out. And then, the human brain has a recency bias thing where you see somebody come in and they go, I saw you at TableTopCon. And it's like, that's awesome. That means that must have worked. But it's like, one person is not making it the difference. Yeah. So, we were very pretty vehemently against it. But I think then I ask, just because we haven't really talked about this yet, then I guess I ask, what was it about GHMX then? Because Comic-Con, we just did like the Learn to Play Magic booth basically, and we had a good time there. We had our booth, of course, we saw some stuff. I'm not sure if it was Comic-Con or GHMX that brought you around more, but I guess my question to you then would be, or maybe the viewers kind of thinking through, what brought you around to conventions? What's the driving factor that makes you go, this is actually starting to work for us?
Interestingly enough, I think it's scale. This is something that I was talking to Jenna and Cassie about actually last week, where I've always been vehemently against conventions because it was in a space. We as a business were at a scale where conventions would only lose us money. We'd rock up, we'd sell the same stuff that everyone had there. We weren't at a capacity to provide value to the convention as well. We did conventions when we provided value. That didn't really cost us anything. When we ran the tabletop zone, where all it cost us was time. Admittedly, we were in our mid-20s. So it was much easier to spend time than it was to spend money back then. But I think the big thing now is we're at a point in the business where we have the scale in our customer base, the scale in our revenue, and the scale in our events to mean that a loss at a convention doesn't tacitly hurt us.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's bankrupting us to lose that large chunk of money, because the business itself almost it's like safety nets that. Like the quality of our business right now is safety. It makes that much safer.
And it's also, I also want to say too that like it's the quality of the staff. The staff, like you guys as team members, as employees, you all work with us to try and make it a good outcome for the business as well. When I'm talking about the full timers opting for toil over straight flat pay, so that we can have a better work with the cash flow on that front from the business perspective. You still earn the same amount of money regardless. You just get free time off to do what you love rather than so that then that helps the business in a cash flow perspective as well. So everything kind of works for both of us at that point. There's the experience, having Tim knowledge events, you and Piper knowledge of the management with the teams, and being around long enough to know the different hobbies that go on, and even know how I work as an owner with the business as well. You guys, I don't have to sit there and explain this is my reasoning behind everything. You guys kind of understand where I'm coming from and stuff, which makes it a lot easier for me when I've got to go, oh shit, I got to go make up some posters so that we can do this flash sale thing. And then you guys, I just know that you guys have got it locked down and it's going to run fine. Even, the people down there, B running minis, I had full confidence in B running Spearhead, because
you don't need to micromanage them at all.
I've seen how B runs Combat Patrol and knows Warhammer in the store. I'm like, Spearhead's honestly not that much of a stretch. You've got Rob there to ask you questions. Everything's in the book. And I know B reads the books, and I know B understands what's going on. So I have full faith and confidence that B can do that job.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to add, where it's I found myself, because when you talk about roles within this, by the way, when we talk about roles, it's we had Piper was very much customer service. They were at the counter. They were buying and selling, not buying, but they were selling and interacting with customers a lot. Grace was in the same kind of position, and then floating between where they were needed. Tim was clearly on the event. You were obviously in a full boss position, a management position, engaging with all those things at once, and also keeping the flow moving and
filling in those gaps as needed.
Filling gaps as needed. But that's kind of what I was doing as well. It's kind of what I found I make myself doing a lot in the event, where it's I could I could go over when we were first setting up for the actual combo control SPA stuff. Like I helped me set the entire thing up, knowing full well they'd be able to handle it. It's like, well, why not just have 2 hands on that?
Yeah.
Get that fully set up. And then I went over and I was constantly checking on the learn to plays and being like, make sure everyone had water, make sure everyone, like when they want to get a snack, making sure everyone had like a realistic break. And then I was also making sure that when I was over at the counter when I was needed, if I had a moment, it was always go straight to the stall and talk to customers and engage with that as well and just keep an eye on things. So I felt it very easy to translate what does Dylan want from the staff and from this event. And without us having had much conversation about it, I could very easily translate that to being like, okay, I know exactly what I need to be doing here. This needs to be happening now. This needs to be happening now, that kind of stuff. And then that was true during the event. But then once we get to pack down, I think that was a big one. Like pack in and pack out was a big one where it was like, well, you were away with the truck and Jenna was engaging with like the trolley and moving stuff quite a distance out. So the staff had moments where they were kind of just unpacking, like packing up boxes and stuff. Like, so let's about the pack down mostly, I think is important here. Because the pack up was pretty consistent, but the pack down was different. And I had to be like, well, I'm engaging with this whole thing, make sure this is flowing faster, but also efficiently, and staff don't feel overwhelmed, that kind of stuff. So I found myself very much engaging with that a lot. So I think having all those kind of different roles helped a lot, being able to go well, and being flexible with that too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so that confidence with the team was really important. Also, like, the business has scaled to a point where I talk about, like, losing money on the event isn't really that hard. Also, the money we spend getting to the event and preparing for the event also doesn't break the bank. Like, I don't need to work on the business every day, all day. I can go disappear for 3 days to go like track down all of the racking that I need from Bunnings and build it at the storage locker and get that signed up and all that. Like
and unbuild it
and unbuild it and rebuild it. But like that kind of element as well, like the scale of that. The scale of the business now means that we can do these kind of things.
Yeah, I think that's important, right? Where it's like, if we're talking about like Charlotte Street days, it's like that's like fundamentally impossible. You, Cassie, and Jenna cannot all disappear from that location for a weekend because then the store is not open. Yeah, which is just like that alone is backbreaking for a weekend. That just cost us thousands of dollars. Like,
and then hopefully we make the same amount, if not more, profit than just being at the store.
Correct, but then you also have to make up the profit of the whole store. Then make up the profit for the event. Like that's an unbelievable number you need to make. And that's when I come back to where I kind of say, I touched this earlier, and maybe this is the more comprehensive answer to what do you define as a lot of money? Because it's always like, well, what other expenditures, what money could you have been making with what you were doing? That kind of stuff. So I think, that's really important. So,
which is good because now we're at this scale part. Some of the lessons that I've learned from GHMX, from Oz Comic Con, like these things, even the stuff that I learned back just doing like volunteer stuff, like doing the board game zone, and the thinking that I had in that period between opening a store and getting to now, over the 10 years that's happened as well. Like there's some very important things now that I think everyone should know and that you should learn. You okay? Just looking at my...
Sorry. I'm just thinking. I'm just listening.
Bro's just entranced.
Locked in. Entranced.
I'm just locked in.
Are you entranced by this merch?
It's good. It's a cool shirt. It's a cool shirt. There's a lot going on that shirt, so I find myself constantly looking at it.
But I've got some things that stores or even store holders, like if you're running an indie thing, like at Artist Alley, and you're running your own indie stuff, and there's a lot of thinking that you need to. There's a lot of things you need to think about before committing to a convention, and then also like before, like while you're at a convention as well. So much so that I even wrote them down. I think the number one lesson that I got, the number one thing that I like to do, and I try to push for conventions and events is you want to provide value to the convention. So that's kind of what we did when we had the online store. We really just provided value to the convention. We didn't take from it outside of like reputation. So that value was running the board game zone. People come to Oz Comic Con or Supernova and then they go, oh, well, there's board games here. I might stay for a bit longer and then I'll go do something else at the con. So, we provided value to the convention with no like real benefit to us. apart from the marketing. And then I think that kind of mentality has translated now into running events at conventions. So I didn't want to do GHMX unless we were doing things. Like I didn't want to do TableTopCon unless we were doing things. I wanted to run the Learn to Plays. I wanted to run a tournament that helped pay for the event. I wanted to run things that give people a reason to come to the convention, because that does two things. The first one is you're going to have more customers, right? Like if you are like a dice vendor, right? Run an RPG thing, and then you've got like people who come to the convention then for your RPG thing that will want to buy dice.
I think
so you're creating customers.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a psychology as well around like, I've been privy to this myself. In fact, actually, a good example of this was the Zero Tool Mini that I bought for StarCraft, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if I had just walked into that convention and done a loop and left, I wouldn't have left with that miniature. And I was there for, ulterior reasons. I was working there. But again, I was there for so long. I kind of had the mindset of like, well, I've committed like a whole weekend to this. I got to go home with something.
Yeah,
I've got to take.
I was the same with Fjord Serpents.
It's like I think there's a real psychology around like I've committed my weekend to this. I've committed some time to this. If I leave with nothing except the memory of window shopping, or if I leave with the memory of like doing something, it's like yeah. And I think that's what panels do for comic conventions or anime conventions. That's what panels do, or screenings. They keep people at the convention, and then they kind of go, well, I spent a lot of time here, but I should go back. I should go back out to the store, and I saw that one thing.
That's a genuine retail psychology thing. Yeah. By the way, like the longer time a customer spends in your store, the higher percentage it is to close a sale.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That. Sorry. That's
that's what happens at cons. If people stay, they're gonna want to buy stuff.
So give them a reason to stay. Yeah. And then also
give them a reason to come.
Well, yes, but I think that also works too. I think give people a reason to come is a good. If you can do both, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to pick one, give them people to come. It's a convention. Give them a reason to stay. I think it's so much more important. And I think that the second layer to that is that like you kind of want a symbiotic relationship with the convention. Yeah. Like you want to like you're talking about giving the convention value. It's like I want the convention to benefit me, sure. But if I don't benefit the convention, if I'm just this parasitic thing that exists within it that to make money, it's like well for myself. Well, I'm not. Long term, this convention might not do as well as I need it to. Like I don't have projections forward because my projections are still attached to how well this convention does. Like if Tabletop Con doesn't get 1,500 people, we're not making the money that we make.
No.
If they only get 800 people, that's like we make mathematically, not exactly, we make half the money we can make, right? Because there's half the customers. So you as a business, it makes sense to you fiscally to say, well, I want this convention to succeed. And if you want the convention to succeed, it's kind of hard just to pitch a tent and sell some dice. It's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
We pitched a tent, we sold dice, but we ran stuff. And that to kind of sell those dice. And that's like we talk about with the Warhammer translating from the sales, that kind of stuff. But, I would not be surprised if those who came and played in our Spearhead event picked up stuff elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was with the Zero Tool Mini, where I was like, I haven't even invested in the StarCraft game yet. I've talked about it. I'm excited for it. But I haven't really like gotten too heavy into it. But the Zero Tool Mini was A, an excuse to have my first step into the StarCraft miniatures game, but B, just to have a cool mini and take something home from TableTopCon.
I mean, even like the Riftbound tournaments that we had and the Riftbound winner box on Sunday, like some guys came back on Riftbound on Sunday to play Riftbound purely just because the tournament was scheduled to go over 2 days and we didn't have enough people for 2 days. But that also meant that anyone who played in the tournament got a weekend pass to the whole convention as well.
Yeah.
So some guys just came back on Sunday and just like hung out. They played games in the free play area. They walked around for a bit. They came and did the winner box with us, the single elimination winner box. I think those guys also like bought a bunch of Origin stuff that we opened
think they did
up.
too.
Yeah. Like it was a great relationship for us to sell things because we brought these people in that would want to buy the stuff that we're selling.
And we don't have the data for what they bought elsewhere within the convention, but we can assume it wasn't just from us. We can assume they went and did other things and engaged with other parts of the convention.
Which, brings the other side of it. The second part to like adding value to the event is that a lot of times if you're running paid events, you can use them to help supplement the cost of the event. Like from my experience, a lot of conventions won't charge you won't charge the thing that you're running for them, right? Mm-hmm. Like if they've got enough space for a free play area and you're like, hey, I want to use up 10 tables for this little mini tournament kind of thing that I want to do. A lot of times they'll be like, cool, what schedule do you need them? Those tables for, we'll make sure they're blocked off, or we'll designate an area for your tournaments and that kind of stuff.
It's not an extra charge on your booth charge?
It's not necessarily an extra charge for them because, they may not have the venue full, like particularly TableTopCon, they had plenty of room. But the benefit then is that you're still paying for your stall space, but now you've got the ability to earn income, you earn revenue in a different area as well that can help then supplement the cost of the stall.
Yeah. Which,
is a big thing. Like I said, we did the math. I don't think I said it here. I said it to everyone else. A lot of people I talked to about Oz Comic Con. We lost some money, but if Riftbound had 48 and then both of the minis tournament had an extra 4 people each, we were in profit.
Yeah.
It was that close.
It was very close.
So, there's a world where you can run events that also, help pay for what you're doing at the convention, which, is really helpful. Or at least break even, right? If you just break even and at the end of the day, you have a marketing.
Mm-hmm. You did community outreach.
You've got a little bit of a marketing reputation behind it. But yeah, I think the next thing that I think a lot of people, I would say, struggle with is having a goal. If you walk into a convention to just go to a convention as a stall holder or a store, that's not really a goal. You need to have something defined that you can reach. For me, the main goal for me was breaking even. I know how much it would cost us. So I think let's say that accommodation, logistics, stall hire, insurance, staffing, all this stuff, it's $5,000 for the weekend, right? This is just a number I pulled out. That's actually not what it cost. But if it was $5,000 a week, $5,000 for the weekend, right? So, I know that my margin after handling is probably 30%. So then I run the math and I go, oh, okay, cool. If I need to make $5,000 to pay for this weekend in profit, 30% of if that's 30%, I'm looking at around $16,500 to $17,000 is my sales goal for the weekend. And I split that up. It's about $8,500 each day. So if I can make $8,500 in sales each day, I'm good.
Yeah.
So then that becomes a target because we're salespeople. If you're running a store, I'm sorry, you are a salesperson because you are trying to keep the doors open. And it's really business 101 stuff. Have a goal.
Yeah.
So yeah. Figure out what your expenses are going to be, or at least as a budget. I think I walked in each day and figured out how much does it cost? How much sales do we need to make today to make it worthwhile to be here? And when we did a really good Saturday, I was like, cool. All right, well then we can do pretty cheap, cruisy on Sunday. And then even I was joking around with Grace. It's we need this much, or current sales trends. We're going to make this much by the end of it. Which was nowhere near the number.
Yeah. I was gonna. That's what we had that joke as well, where they were talking about the sales trend, and it was right in the busiest period. If we keep up this sales trend the last half an hour, we keep that up for every half an hour for the rest of the convention. Yeah, we make infinite money. And the number was so high. And Grace looked at me, and Grace was that's quite a lot. I'm we will never make that money. We'll never make close to that. It's okay. They were you had them going for the first half, not gonna lie. They were really whoa, how are we gonna make that much? I'm we're not. We're never making that much.
And look, there's intangible goals that you can have as well going into a convention. There is that marketing growth aspect, but you should have something that's measurable.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. How many people am I speaking to? What is that conversion rate going to look like? Am I converting them to newsletter subscribers? Am I converting them to the Discord? Am I converting them to the customer database? These kind of things, having a measurable goal that you're trying to meet so many ex-customers is really important from a marketing growth standpoint. Even business processes, and that's usually that's a secondary goal for me. As long as I can walk out learning something as well, I can assess that against how much money we made or lost and see if that was worthwhile as well. Which is why we came out of TabletopCon going, we lost money, but the lessons we learned are worth more than the money we lost.
Yeah.
So
You
we
could
feel
feasibly
like,
see another one.
we feel like, it's okay for us to take a punt on another one now.
And I think it's like the punt that we make on this one, we make back on the next one with the lessons that we learned. as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Yeah.
that's applause. That's
Yeah,
very plausible.
I can foresee where these lessons will benefit us in the future.
And also the fact that we've got like the storage locker now, we've got all that shelving in there. Like that covers a lot of those costs as well. Like the storage locker costs, but as in like we're not buying those, we're not buying those shelves again, for example.
And that's kind of like
that kind of stuff.
amortizing that over the course of like, how long do you want to pay that back? Do you want to pay that back over a year? Okay, well then you're going to X conventions this year, divide that up, We're still a bit loosey-goosey on that. But still, like, obviously, like, like I said, if you don't break even from a sales perspective, you need to work out what kind of goals, if those goals are worth the loss. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, that's what's the most important, is making sure that you're walking out with value. I think the other one I've got here is like, be adaptive. Like, obviously things go wrong. Things will always go wrong. Nothing is perfect. Please. That's just how it works. That's how it works in business. I'm sorry. If you're new to business,
Adapt or
and
die.
you haven't done anything gone wrong yet, it will soon.
Yeah, you're due.
You'll learn.
Throw on a roulette because you're due. Let me tell you something.
Like, there's costs associated to handling stock, right? Like, if I take an example of our adaptation, there's costs associated to handling stock. There's costs to having stock away from the main shop floor. Like, there's an opportunity cost on that front. But then there's also a cost to, now we've got to box it up, throw it back on a truck, drive it back home, unbox it, put it back into the stores that it belongs. Like, that's still all a cost. It's a cost that's pretty low per box, but it does eat into that percentage margin we make on each product, right?
Yeah.
So, we adapted. Like, I was talking on Saturday, I think, with Tim and Jenna about doing like a Sunday sale. Like, I see a lot of conventions, people do Sunday sales. And we're joking about like, what if we do like our biggest discount at like 2 p.m. and then cut it down by like 5% every half hour or something, like to really mess with people. And then Tim kind of said this really funny idea of like, what if we do like just a massive discount, but do it like an hour before, like have it finish an hour before the convention closes. So rather than having like right up to the buzzer of having a discount, where a lot of people have kind of moved on from the convention, we went from 3 to 4 p.m. No, 4 to 5.
4 to 5.
Because it was 6 o'clock close. So we did 4 to 5 p.m. We did 20% off everything in store, but except for TCGs. Because otherwise everyone would just buy Riftbound stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did 20% off everything in store except for TCGs. And like the amount of people that came through was astounding. Like I think we cleared a whole rack in that 1 hour.
And you were able to like print off signs to like advertise this. That's
we
what you
adapted.
want,
So I printed off. I take my laptop everywhere with me, so I need to do work on the fly. But that adaptation of going, okay, well now I've got my laptop here. I can bring out my design files that I have for our posters, adapted into that, printed off with the event printer we had, and we had them up and ready to go that day. Like,
and because we were prepared with a little event printer, we could do that.
Yeah. So we adapted to that situation. We didn't go down to the TableTopCon going, we're going to have a discount on the last day, but we saw like how the days were going and what people were doing throughout the day and kind of went, actually, I think this is a good idea. We should try this.
But then next time we're going, we're like, that's already on the agenda.
Yeah, that's on the agenda now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a lesson learned. Yeah. We've been adaptive and
Full circle.
full circle. And then the final thing that I think every store needs to do, if you're going, every stall holder, if you're doing any exhibiting at a convention, at a market, whatever, the thing you need to do is you need to track every single expense. Like
Data.
it sucks. It absolutely sucks doing bookkeeping. I know. But every single expense, hiring the truck, the wage costs, every bit of food that that the store purchased down there for you guys. What else is there? Insurance, stall fees, prizes, everything. Everything that we paid for that weekend, we put into a spreadsheet, and then we had the system to pull out everything we sold at the convention. and all the events we ran, and put that into like the opposite side of the spreadsheet to fully work out whether that event was a success or not. But the importance of tracking everything is insane. Like, it's much better than like, going down and being like, oh, well, I think we did okay. Like the other thing is like, it's kind of hard to go down there and be like, I think we did okay. We've done like X amount of sales today, so I think we're going to be fine. It's like, well, no, can you like back that up with stats? Because like a lot of times I've spoken to people, like I've had my hard results at an event and gone, we lost money here. And they're like, no, I had a really good event. And I was like, brother, your sales were less than mine. Like, you had a worse time than me. How can you justify this?
And it's like, and I maybe in the short term, that's not a really bad thing. Like in the short term, it's like not so bad to kind of wing it and vibe it and go, well, I can't just know how much this cost. I can't just know how much this costs. Like if you're the person who's like renting the truck, you in your head is like, it costs X amount. And you think to yourself, well, I make Y amount an hour. Well, that means this costs Z and this other person also costs Z. So like I can do the math in my head and go, that was pretty good. But that's like, speaking of lessons learned, that's not a lesson learned.
No.
There's no data to back that up. And then you go to the next convention and in your head, because the bias of the data is we did well, even if you did badly, that's going to be the worst case scenario because now you're like, oh, I now justify that thought process.
Yeah,
I've now
you're going to overcommit.
Yes, but importantly, it's like, well, vibe checking it worked out last time. Why won't it work this time? And by the time you've worked out, oh, that's not correct, and I got that wrong, you've got it wrong for 4 years straight. You haven't got it wrong like once. You've got it wrong for years. And then you kind of go, oh my God. And there's one last thing, which I think how we haven't really touched on here as well, is that this is more, like this is less data centric. But I think it's one of those things where you can come out of something with a profit, but still feel that it wasn't worth your time.
Yeah.
Or if it was too hard, or if it's stressful. And like if your cortisol levels are like spiking the entire trip and you're not comfortable driving a truck and it's making you like anxious and it's causing like anxiety and the whole week after that the bookkeeping is just misery, you kind of get to the point where you're like, I actually just hate doing conventions because they're just fun's not the word I want to use. They're not
sustainable.
Here, but they're not sustainable because I don't the joy is all sapped out of it. And at some point just running the store is something I enjoy a lot more and something that would just come out of, sure, this was a little bit more profitable, but not so extremely that I feel vindicated by doing it. No, I could just run the store and instead put the same. This was a huge amount of energy, by the way. Huge amount of planning, huge amount of energy, and a huge amount of energy for me, for even others. And I can just put that energy into operating my business like consistently over the year and have a much better time. And then there's the reverse of that, which is that the kind of vibe checking stuff where it's like, but if I go and do all of that, then I feel that way. I'm stressed. I'm annoyed. But if I just think to myself, it went all right. And like, whatever. Maybe we lost some money. Maybe we made some money, whatever. I just love doing conventions. Like, I think there's a good, not a huge chunk, but I think there's a good chunk of convention goers that are exhibitors that have that mindset of like, oh, I just love this. I just love, I love the circuit. I love going to all the conventions. I love seeing all the same faces that come along. I love all engaging with that. Maybe you don't have like a brick and mortar store. Maybe you are just like,
stall holder.
Just a stall holder. And this, I think I see this a lot in Artist Alley actually.
Yeah. Where,
a lot of what we've said, you've touched on Artist Alley a few times, like not directly, but you've said it a couple of times here, being like, even if you're Artist Alley kind of thing. I think sometimes if you sell like, and this is not a demeaning statement whatsoever, like I think that it's all very, very valid. But if you sell like stickers and maybe tote bags and maybe shirts, right? And you're like, well, I just love doing this. And I just love seeing the faces. And you don't do any marketing. You just know that people are going to walk, like you're a Supernova, hundreds of people are walking down that aisle every day, maybe thousands. And they're going to stop by your store if they like your stuff. And your stuff's cool. Like that kind of stuff, that kind of mindset, I think it can be very bad long term. I think short term, it's fine. I think it's totally okay. And I think maybe for your first convention, it's a good idea if you're thinking to do your first convention to start with this. Start with the miserable stuff. Rip the Band-Aid off. Don't let yourself fall into the trap of letting yourself get your first con in and wing it. And then out of it go, well, that's quite enjoyable. Because I promise you, the first time you wing your convention, it's going to feel a lot better than the first time that you actually lock in your data. It's going to feel a lot better. It's going to be a lot better, like to lock in your data. It's going to resolve in a much more comprehensive experience for you, and it's going to give you like projections in the future that are just way better. But it's going to be much more miserable to have to change your entire process. I think just the first time you do something like this, I guess my point being is that if you could tell yourself what you know now for your first convention, you would in a heartbeat. Like you would 100%. And if the younger you would also take that on board and do that immediately, we'd be way better off now. We may have never ever said we don't do conventions.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the situation is different, but I'm saying that, I think that's something that you want to always think about.
Yeah.
Like thinking back on it now, my experience with conventions, were Vault Games doing board game zones and events. But then also I did Table Tyrant games when I was a game publisher as well at the same time. And we did conventions for Kickstarter projects that we had live at the time. And I didn't do any of this. I vibed it. And I'm looking back on it now, like, 100%. Like if I knew the shit I knew now, and if I had the process knowledge that I have now, like the ability to use and create like organized documents in a way that I do now, as opposed to 10, 11 years ago, like it definitely would have been a different result.
For sure.
But yeah, we lost a lot of money those days.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much my points. Track everything, adapt to your scenarios, have a goal in mind when you're at the convention, like genuinely have a measurable goal in mind while you're there. And then also provide value to the convention goers, and that will inadvertently provide value for yourself. But yeah, do you have anything else? And then obviously your thing of like, start doing this stuff from the start.
No.
Yeah, kick it off early. I think also just don't 3D print a bunch of garbage shit. Just don't 3D print a bunch of rainbow garbage shit and just think that's a fucking trade. It's embarrassing.
Don't throw a banner up that's full of generative AI.
It's embarrassing. It embarrasses you. You know what? And kind of, I think it makes the whole con worse. I think you are like
that Bart diagram,
tumor.
that 3D Bart diagram of like everyone around him funneling down as well.
Funneling down like a black hole. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel, and I'm not trying to knock those who are trying to. Okay, I think that for a very short amount of time there, these like fucking cult 3D bullshit was actually carving out a niche. It actually like kind of was. It was like, wow, finally, consumer-friendly filament printing. And something that like a mother could come to a convention with her kid and grab a $5 toy that the kid could and had like a little clicking sensation, and the kid would probably break it within like 5 or 10 minutes upon leaving the convention. And that's kind of okay because you as a parent are kind of glad to have that $15 investment, got the kid busy for the convention, just have them throw it out, like whatever. You don't want to have to take it home and then, the dog swallows a piece of it and then there's a $5,000 vet bill later just for them to poop it out and it's totally fine. I think there was a small moment. I think it's over. It's like, we passed it. It's over. There are too many of you all at the same convention. And also hire artists. Don't use AI, but that's like a whole different conversation. I think maybe that's a whole different podcast episode where we talk about the.
I will admit, at TabletopCon this year, there was a lot less 3D slop. Yeah, it was like the one 3D print slop stuff that I saw was at a stall that was selling 3D printing filament and resin, and I was like, that's okay.
That's like here's examples of how it operates.
An example of it. Yeah.
That's perfect. That's exactly what you need to do.
Because that's only just that's just proof of product. It's not necessarily like a product in itself. So that's, I think, viable. I think, like we touched on at the very beginning, I think TabletopCon was a good example of that. I think there was still too much AI art.
There was way too much AI art.
AI imagery, God. I should use. Sorry, AI imagery. That's its own conversation.
It's not art.
It's not art. It's imagery. That's fine. It's aesthetically pleasing imagery.
There was someone who tried to defend their game to me, and I was like,
Let's leave that one alone. I think we can leave that one alone. I think
I can see it on your business card.
Yeah, we can all see it. And the video they try to show. Anyway, moral of the story that I think is, like, do it early, do it often, and do it right. And then just don't. Yeah. I think if we're coming back to that whole, you're giving the convention value, it can come in the form of something as black and white as, like, operate. We kind of towed around the idea of just, like, run events. It doesn't have to be running events. It could be like community engagement. It could be like
running a meetup,
running
a panel.
It could be any of those things. It can also just be like presenting a product that is something that helps the convention. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, offer something that, for example, selling the Zero Tool Mini, the Army Painter guys. That's a mini that's convention and promo exclusive. So it's something that you can only get from TabletopCon. You can't just buy it online, right? Well, you could buy it at the secondary market, but my moral of the story is you can't buy it online. You can't buy it from the storefront at Vault Games or from, like, Good Games, whatever. So that all of a sudden is giving TabletopCon value.
Yeah.
If what you're offering in your stall is derivative crap, it's not really giving much value. Like, sometimes I do see some dice vendors as well, where I kind of think to myself, like, this is just the Chessex range. You're just selling the Chessex range, which you can get anywhere. You can get it at Mr. Toy's Toy World as well. Like, there are Toy Worlds you can buy that from. Like, you know what I mean? To me, I kind of go, that's not giving the convention value. So that would be, like, a small point, but something just to think about as well.
But yeah, I think that's it. That's it. Enjoy your convention experience, everyone. If you're a stall holder or a business going to a convention, enjoy your convention. Remember those tips. And don't make the same mistake I had. Buy the right uprights for your truck. That's it for us. This episode here from the Vault. We'll be back next time with more goodies and information and learnings and whatever else we want to talk about at the time. Don't forget to get your merch, vaultgames.com.au. If you're based in Australia. If you're based overseas and you want to get some merch, email us. Orders at vaultgames.com.au. We will figure out a shipping option for you. No worries. And like the video, subscribe to the channel, get the bell on.
There's this new, like, hype thing as well. You can hype the video. You seen that?
I have
What?
not.
On YouTube? Yeah, there's a new, like, hype thing. You can just, like, it's just always something new with that app. But, like, you can actually hype a video, and then it goes into, like, recently hyped videos, which is, like, that's really important to the algorithm
Like
now.
boost, like
It's
So
like
just
boosting.
hype it as well if you can.
If you see
if it's
hype,
free.
just hype it. It's free. It's a button you click. Click. I like to say just pick one of them. Pick one you like the most. You don't have to like, subscribe, and comment, and hype. Just pick any of those things you like doing. And if you comment, we'll respond.
Tell us your convention experience. If you're a business owner, a stall holder, a punter who goes to conventions, tell us your experience down below. What is, like, a really great thing you've learned or experienced at a convention? We'd love to hear it. And make sure we pass that around the community and share that with everyone who wants to know as well. But yeah, thanks so much, Teddy, behind the camera.
Thank you for letting me help.
No worries.
I don't like that.
Thank you, Trent, as always.
Thank you,
Listening to my ramblings. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sir Terry Pratchett. It was Sir Terry Pratchett.